Welcome this evening to another session of camaraderie and conversation with the Nebraska Art Teachers Association. I am Jody Boyer, the past co-president, along with Josephine Langbeam. And this evening we also have Bill Cavell, our current president. And our speaker this evening is Melissa Hronkin, who was a member of the 2019 SAL cohort alongside me, and I am so honored to introduce her and her knowledge to Nebraska and help us with teacher self-care. So Melissa, I'll pass it on to you.
All right, thank you. It is very much an honor. Thank you, Jody, for inviting me. And this is a great opportunity for me to share what my passion has been recently in art education and bringing mindfulness into the art room and into the artist's life. So I hope some of this resonates with you and you can utilize it in your own life, maybe your classroom or in your schools or organizations. So yeah, so anyway, thank you so much. So just in the spirit of the mindfulness, let's just start with a couple of collective deep breaths. You can just ground your feet on the ground. You can put your hands on your legs or possibly on your chest or stomach if that feels grounding to you. And we'll just take inhale and exhale. Shake off the day a bit. 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. And with the next inhale, we'll just prepare our minds. And with the exhale, release something that is no longer serving you from your day. So, all right. So hopefully you're feeling a little better already. Just sometimes getting back into the body is a really good thing. So this is where I am from. I'm beaming in from the yellow arrow here in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and not in Lake Superior, but right up in the Copper Country there. So pretty rural and it's gorgeous. Our colors have peaked like within the last week here, so very early, and there's snow in the forecast. The way we'll structure this tonight is talk a little bit about mindfulness for the self, and then the school culture, because I think it kind of filters down that way. You know, first working on things with yourself, and then if your colleagues can buy into it, it really helps with the overall school culture. And then of course, bringing things into the classroom, some techniques you can utilize. And then lastly, we'll do some guided practice and share some resources. So oftentimes, social emotional learning and mindfulness is kind of considered soft skills, but I personally have a belief that they are fundamental to all learning. And this is something that came up in some of my training, and I wanted to bring it to you if any of you wanted to, needed data, hard data on why this is beneficial. CASEL stands for, let's see here. So this is the framework for social emotional learning. And just to add to that a little bit, CASEL stands for Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. And it's a source for high quality, evidence-based social emotional learning. And they support educators, policy leaders, and enhance experiences and outcomes for all pre through 12 K students. So, or pre-K through 12 students. So there is data on this. And I think in this current climate of pandemic teaching and learning, this has even come more to the forefront. And I personally believe it is a fundamental aspect to all learning and teaching. So I just wanted to bring a little bit of, because you know, a lot of times we know things and we intuitively feel things, but if people want proof and numbers, it is out there. All right, so I think I skipped a slide here, but let me go back. All right, so starting with the self-care, this is a quote by Parker Palmer. And are you guys familiar with Parker Palmer? Okay, you might want to check him out. There's a great book called The Courage to Teach, which was required reading for my yoga training. And he was an educator for a long time. And this quote just really resonates. Self-care is never a selfish act. It is simply good stewardship of the only gift I have, the gift I was put on earth to offer others. Anytime we can listen to the true self and give the care it requires, we do it not for ourselves, but for the many others whose lives we touch. And so you hear that, you know, self-care is not selfish, but the world needs our gifts. And if we don't put our oxygen mask on first, we cannot help others. So that is going to be a touchstone we're coming back to throughout the presentation tonight here. So, let's see here. There we go. Keep skipping slides. All right. So I saw an article recently via a podcast. I don't know if any of you listen to Brene Brown's podcasts, but she always brings up excellent resources. And then I'm like, oh, I have to read this book or check out this article. So this weekend, she was talking about how a lot of us have reached our surge capacity, and our resilience banks are by, you know, this since March happened and the start of things, and we were operating kind of in this adrenaline mode, and you know, we were dealing as best we could, but then you can only do that for so long, and then your resilience bank is empty. So when this, you know, state of arousal becomes the norm, you know, how do we maintain? So we're on the 6th month of this strange time. So here are some resources that may help to fill your resilience bank for the mind, body, and spirit, because burnout is, like we were just talking about, everybody's just so tired. And so, you know, and I talk the talk, but this year I'm really going to try to walk it and embody the self-care. And it's really hard to do for those of us that are just solvers, you know, and always coming up to bat. But anyway, so mentally, what can we do? We can focus on gratitude. It releases chemicals in our brain that reduce worry and improve our sense of well-being. So it's, you know, there's really good data on that too. If you know, can write down 3 things you're grateful for, or even keep a little stack of thank you cards and just say, who can I write a thank you card to? And it shifts the energy right away. Also maintaining a positive outlook, and that of course I love Jody's post the other day where she was, you know, posted about the coping strategies versus like toxic positive attitude, right? But I like to think of it almost as flipping the script or reframing. So if you're kind of on a negative trend, you know, how can you reframe that? Because we can build those neural pathways in our minds, which, you know, build habits and ways of thinking. So gratitude is a muscle as well as positive reframing. So for our body, I believe it is so connected. And sometimes I'm so up in my mind that I forget I even have a body, but drinking water is essential. You know, carrying a water bottle with me, I make sure I'm hydrating all day long, you know, do it like it's your job. They say you should drink half of your body weight in ounces of water in general, you know, per day. So think about that. And mild dehydration can cause, you know, hunger, confusion, and fatigue. So stay hydrated. Raising your heart rate, even just a quick 10-minute walk gets the oxygen going in your brain, or rage jogging, I heard, is a big thing out there in your area. So if that's what you need to do, it's a really good thing to do. I'm currently, well, I'll talk about a little bit later, but I'm doing a little online chair yoga class, and the instructor showed a brain scan of, before in activity and then after 20 minutes of walking, and the brain was just all lit up. So sometimes you just have to trust the process and, go through the motions. Okay. And spirit breathing, again, it sounds like we do it all day, but really focusing on nose breathing is huge. There's a great book out called Breathe, and the author speaks so much about nose breathing and about so many of our health issues and problems are caused by mouth breathing. And it's just an evolutionary thing. It's so crazy. So if that fascinates you at all, check that out. I can't remember the name of the author, but the book is called Breathe. And meditation, a few minutes of just that mindful breathing. And there's some apps I'm going to mention to you later that are helpful for that. And again, it's about building those neural pathways. It's like you practice the fire drill when there's no fire so that it becomes routine, just like with the sitting and, calming your body, so that if there is a real fire or an incident, then you can fall back. You have those neural pathways built for a different type of a reaction. So, yeah. So anyway, just some really practical things. I've been sending out a monthly, whoops, that's not what we want. I've been, Q&A, sorry about that. I have been sending out a monthly newsletter to my staff with just some different, let's see, how do I get back to my slides? Anyway, I'm going to send out that little tidbit of instructions, personal instructions for self-care tomorrow to my staff. And then they can, delete the email or whatever. But yeah, so, all right, let me try to get back to my slide here. Help, techie.
I don't know what you did. Who used to
I don't know what I did. Okay,
you're in some kind of presenter mode
presenter mode, yeah.
I'm not familiar with.
Resume.
Resume. Hit resume. No.
Pause. Did anybody have a Mac here? No, this is just Google Slides.
Maybe try the escape button.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Ooh, escape. Oh, good.
That's always the route out, isn't it?
Always the route out. Okay, and now my now my mouse is gone again, though, but my cursor. But where are you, little pesky thing? Okay. So self-care, and you're of course taping this. So sorry about the technical.
Oh no, I think being human's good, right?
What's that?
Being human. You're a human.
Exactly, human. Okay, so anyway, while I'm trying to figure this out, we can talk about the next slide, because this is very much about being human and about being vulnerable. But so here's what happened to me. So since March, you get into quarantine and they're like, go home, don't come to school. You can do your thing, but you're largely in control of your environment, right? So, and then the summer was very low key, nobody's going anywhere, and pretty much, again, I could kind of control who I was seeing and what I was exposing myself to. So, August rolls around, getting things ready for school, PD days happen. We show up at school, everybody's in this heightened state of, being, and, I just immediately felt like there was this huge amount of other people's emotions I was taking on, and stress and worry, and wow, it was really overwhelming. So I started to think about being an empath or a highly sensitive person. So can any of you relate to this, or have you read anything about this? About being an empath or a HSP? Anyone, sort of? Okay. So, I mean, I think as artists, we become artists because we are perceptive to energies and what. Not that it's a weakness, but I think, we have extra sensitivities in a way, which is our superpower, but it can also become more draining, right? And it doesn't mean you're necessarily an introvert or an extrovert, but I think that it's a way of experiencing the world. And I think coming back to school made me realize that I need some tangible tools to deal with this extra perception, heightened perception. So if you're curious about that, these are 2 books you may want to check out. I've listened to some podcasts with Judith Orloff, and then I have now I'm reading by Elaine Aron. And it doesn't necessarily mean, like I said, Elaine Aron came up in actually a podcast that I was listening to with Alanis Morissette, because she identifies as a highly sensitive person, but she's also a rock star. So it doesn't mean that you're not going to put yourself in these stressful situations. Some of us are high adrenaline sensitive people. So you're actually, seeking out these situations while you are being bombarded by emotions. So anyway, just something that I'm probably going to be pursuing for a while, because again, in this heightened state of the world, I think that it's important to know when you can protect your energy, but also the world needs you. So we don't want to shut down and burn out, right? Because I think, like I said, that is our superpower as well. So still trying to find my cursor, but while we're doing it, let's see, Control-Alt-Delete.
Hey, Melissa.
Yeah.
I was looking up that book that you talked about, Breathe. Is it by James Nestor? Because there's like 4 or 5 books with that same title. It's like it in the description.
Yeah, it's yellow and it has like these lungs on the front.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely wonderful. You can listen to some podcasts and things by him as well too. If you, there was a great NPR article too. But yeah, it's really amazing. I would recommend it for sure. Whether we all breathe, but it brings together, you can interest your athletes. It can improve their performance, your meditators, your dentists. It's like crazy how much breathing affects us. So, okay. Come on, you. Oh, there's the cursor. Hey, cursor. How's it going? Fabulous. All right. Back to presentation mode here. And I'm just going to do this. Bear with me while I flip through my slides again. Any questions while I get us to where we're going? Okay, because I always get, it's crazy too. For jury duty, I've been on 2 juries, and it's like, why me, I just sit there and absorb all of this stuff, but I'm like, well, they must need me for something. Okay, so on to mirror neurons. Are you familiar with mirror neurons? Heard of them? Okay, so this is why this is a survival technique between animals and humans, where we start to pick up on the energy and the mood of people around us. Or I yawn, you yawn, because it's something in your brain is triggered. So this is another reason why we need to be cognizant of the energy we bring into our classrooms, into our buildings, because our energy affects those around us. Our kids are going to mirror our moods. And not that you feel like you have to have all your chakras aligned and be perfect before you start your teaching, but even to model those techniques of self-regulation, So if you come into the room and you can tell, your students, I'm having a rough day, my energies are a little bit low. And because of that, I need, I'm asking for your help today, or I'm going to take a little extra time. I'm going to put myself in a timeout or whatever. Okay, so, and especially our at-risk kids, they've developed this heightened ability, probably for survival mode, to be cognizant of their environments just for their own survival, and maybe, their parents or, what's happening. So just something to be aware of in some of our trauma training. This was brought up. Okay. And this is great. I was part of a trauma training for our district in March, and this was brought up. Students have to Maslow before they can bloom. And I do believe it's also very important for all of us. Okay, so the hierarchy of needs, we have to feel safe and take care of those basics before we can move on to the learning and higher level thinking skills. And a lot of us right now are having issues with those basic, the bottom of the pyramid there, the feeling safe. So we have to tend to those things before we can show up, fully for ourselves and for our students. So that is another beauty that you can bring into your staff. So what started my journey, sorry, Jody. I did the Breathe for Change yoga teacher. And so this came up, in my feed, and it was very interesting to me because about before I started to yoga classes, just to help me slow down and, help deal with my anxiety. And then this came up, and being that it was specifically for educators, the only yoga teacher and mindfulness training specifically for educators. It was founded by an educator, Ilana Hronkin, doing her PhD in early childhood education at University of Wisconsin-Madison. And she realized that teachers, needed this as well, to social emotional learning. So it's a program that is, the training did take place in certain cities around the U.S., like Chicago. Madison was the closest to me, Denver, LA, New York. And so from January through May in 2019, every other weekend I drove down and did the training all day Saturday and all day Sunday. But it was absolutely amazing. Now, of course, because of the current situation, they've gone online, all virtual. So you can actually do the training virtually. You could also you can get your certification for yoga, or you can become a wellness champion that's focused more on the social emotional learning aspect. So check out. It was a huge game changer for me. And this link here, if you want to explore it later, you can click and you can go to their website and watch a little video and whatnot on the programs. So this was my group. And people really were from Illinois, Wisconsin. There were 2 of us from the UP of Michigan. A lot of people were educators, retired educators, counselors, people working with people, therapists. And we had 65 of us. And, of course, I was glad I could do it in person, which, isn't happening now, because the connections were a huge part of that as well. Another option where you can get some wonderful training is mindfulness. Any of you done any classes with them? Okay. It's all online, and there are, they do have some free offerings, but the 2 foundational classes that they offer, there's Mindfulness Fundamentals, which is, learning about the history of mindfulness and working on your own personal practice, and then Mindful Educators Essentials, which is about taking it into the classroom. And those 2 are not very expensive, and they're the foundational classes if you want to go on to the certification to become a mindfulness instructor. And that's a year-long program and a bit more costly, but I do hope to do it in the future here. But wonderful instructors. I think it's set up really, really well. So if you're interested in some classes, that I would highly recommend that. 2 summers ago, my district, paid for us to do a book, and I was really psyched that people were interested in the mindfulness genre of books. So these were the 2 that we came up with: Happy Teachers Change the World and Teach, Breathe, Learn. And both, I would highly recommend these books. A lot of really practical techniques you can take into the classroom. Happy Teachers Change the World is a bit thicker, and the Teach, Breathe, Learn might be a little more approachable. Readability is there. But I would recommend these if you wanted any reading material. Not all of the staff was as enthused and, didn't buy in completely as I did. But, that's the way it goes. So after we did this program, the next fall, I decided to offer, I tried to really build that culture of mindfulness within the school. Since staff had done a little bit of reading and had some techniques down there, I offered morning yoga, before and after school yoga in the art room, which, was not hugely attended, but at least it was available. I kind of did a little survey to see what people would be interested in. I continue to send out those monthly emails, and one suggestion is that it's not mandatory. I think you'll get a much better reception if you invite people to participate. So it's not something that they have to do, because then they're going to come to it with a more willing spirit as well. And I'm just always trying to share resources without becoming too much of a bother, and just building those relationships. I don't know how your schools are, but I've been at mine for 11 years, and there have been, some retirements and new hires, and being the art teacher, I don't often get to know everybody, and I don't live in the community where I teach. So anything I could do to build some of those relationships just was very beneficial. So, all right. Any questions? See where we're at here. I think, oops, let's see. So, okay, so some guided practice. I am just going to mention a couple things. We can do a couple of things together if you guys are up for that. I would invite you to participate with me. I am not very good at journaling myself. And I keep, every resource, I read these books and, you need a journal. And I just kind of crappy at it. But I do a little bit better with guided journaling, if I have a book that has prompts, and there are certainly things you can do with your students, and you probably already do, that are reflective journaling. A rose and a thorn, think of something about today that was a rose, something that was a thorn, so maybe you can think about that of your own day. So what was something that was good about today, and what was something that was thorny? And I would invite you to take about 30 seconds and jot that down if you want. Does anybody want to share?
I'll share.
Okay.
It was my rose is that it was my last day of remote teaching, hopefully for the rest of my existence on this plane of earth today and forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then my thorn was I had to remote teach today.
Oh. Excellent. Anyone else?
I'll share.
Okay.
My rose was we've had a really tough kindergartner this year. And he had a great day in art class today. It was like the first all year, which was really nice. He even said goodbye to me. And the thorn was, I had my fourth grade class was so naughty today, but it's okay. They cleaned up the quietest they ever had because I told them how it was going to be the next time.
They were repenting.
They were.
I'll share. I have an 8th grader who has been a huge pain in the neck, and today we really connected. He was doing acrylic color blends that were just immaculate, and we were just talking about it and just getting excited about it, and he was all into it. And then 2 class periods after mine, he got in-school suspension. So now we're going to lose all of that momentum, and I'm bummed about it. So the rose was the connection, and the thorn is the disconnect.
I suppose I should go to be participatory. Mine is having to do with remote teaching too. My rose is we have office hours at the middle school level, and every office hour, twice a day, I have an ACP student who comes and hangs out with me the whole time. So we have been spending a total of an hour and 15 minutes together for 2 weeks. And after today, so I really enjoy this. We have conversations about what we had for breakfast and all sorts of things. And but today was the last day of office hours, and so I got done with the office hours and just lost it for 10 minutes because I knew he wasn't going to have another way, because he is remote. So with us going to hybrid, those office hours don't exist anymore for the kids to pop in. And I had other kids that popped in as well. Like, they'd pop in and I'd tell the young man, you got to wait a little bit because I got to talk to this other student. So the change is both a rose and a thorn. It's a constant, and it's good that we constantly have change, but I'm really grieving not being able to connect with this young man again. So it's just a cycle, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah. Well, thank you all. That was really wonderful. And so you can see many applications for that. Just little moments are a wonderful way to connect with yourself too. So I realized I learned through my yoga teacher training that a lot of schools had a curriculum for social emotional learning, and lo and behold, my school actually had Second Step, which is a fairly common curriculum for social emotional learning. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, so I had never heard of it, but the grade level teachers have these binders where they are required to teach their students, weekly lessons on different character traits and whatnot. And I guess I wasn't even, aware of that. Before, when we had our old counselor, she would actually go into the classrooms and do lessons on this curriculum. So I, of course, wanted in on this, right? Instead of doing something separate, I thought, well, I could really just build on the curriculum that they have. And some of them, find it, another thing they have to teach. So I thought if I could support that curriculum through my art classes, I would be really willing to do that. And I found through my investigation that there is a company. Well, it's called Art with Heart, and it's out of the Washington, Seattle area. and they have some curriculum, and that is art and social emotional learning. And I bought, there's one called Draw It Out, which is sort of toward upper elementary, middle level. But again, if you want to check it out, check out their curriculum. It actually links up. They have these workbooks, and it crosswalks with the social emotional learning standards and art and other areas of the curriculum. So this one, and then there's this one, which is called Magnificent Marvelous Me, which is like for maybe lower L. And again, there's these it's pretty cool stuff. I do believe they offer some like online curriculum and whatnot too, but of course, I don't know if they intend that you buy every student a book. I mean, I'm not sure if that would be feasible, and they also have some for older kids as well.
Are they, sorry, is it called Marvel? Can you tell me, or can you say the titles again?
Sure. This one is Draw It Out. And if you actually, Art with Heart is the name of the, artwithheart.org is Which one?
Here, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, yeah, please, yeah, do it. I can put the web link. Well, I don't know if I can put it in the chat. I don't want to ruin my afterwards.
Yeah.
I can send it. But Art with Heart, check it out if you are interested in finding out about this curriculum. There's the little Art with Heart. That was very interesting. It might be considered more. I don't know where we, draw the boundaries and whatnot, but there's curriculum out there, lo and behold. All right, so some other little tools for my tool bag. I bought this really cool chime, and again, it was something that we used in our yoga class. But you can't have like a singing bowl or something. This beautiful little chime is delightful. And I've used this for mindful listening with even up to my kindergarten. So you say, I'm going to ring the chime, and you're going to very carefully listen until you cannot hear anything anymore, and then raise your hand when you can no longer hear the chime. It's a great way to get people settled in, children settled in at the beginning of class. So little tools like that I would encourage you, to, I had a wind chime before, but this is a powerful thing. And to invest in something that's a little more expensive, I think you'll enjoy that. It's from Woodstock Chimes. I think it was probably about $25. But some other things I'm investing in are like these. Have you guys seen these fabulous spheres here? There's a fancy name for this, but really not only visually calming, and I think, Jody, didn't you help your staff build like little calming kits? Did you talk about doing that, like the glitter jars?
Yeah, I did that all last year. We've tabled it because of we can't share anything.
Yeah, definitely. Well, but this is a great tool for just like the inhale and the exhale. It's a really excellent visual. You'll be very famous when you use this. So I'm kind of building up my arsenal of cool things like this that can help bring some of those breathing and mindfulness things to to life. Flower breathing is another really simple one, especially for the little kids. You can put your hands like this, and this helps with the nose breathing too. So you can inhale through your nose like you're smelling a flower, and then exhale like you're blowing out a candle. I know breathing is like the whole mask and COVID thing has really brought us to be conscious of our breathing and our breath. If we can use it for mindfulness, that is a fabulous thing. So are you up for just a little, let's see where our time is at here, 8:46, but chair yoga. I am also doing an online class right now with Little Flower Yoga for chair yoga. And I hadn't really thought about it before, but it's very useful because of the constraints of the classroom sometime, and it's less intimidating for people and kids and to just do some chair yoga. So I would invite you to do a couple minutes with me because it's about that time in the presentation. You can just kind of sit on the edge of your chair and ground your feet on the ground if possible. And we'll bring a hand to our heart, and you can bring both hands to your heart if you'd like. You can bring one to your head, one to your heart, or put one on your belly if that feels good. And we'll just be aware of our natural breathing. Slow your breathing. And we'll try to have a straight spine, and with the hand on your chest, if it is on your chest, kind of lift your heart. And we'll bring our hands down. And we'll slowly lift. I know you can't see my whole body, but we'll lift our right hand out to the side and up to the sky, and then reach it over to get a little side stretch in the side body. You can gaze up, lift your heart up, and release with an exhale. And now on the other side. Inhale as you raise your hand. Feeling a nice stretch, not a painful stretch. And release. And we'll lift both hands up. And clap your hands together. And bring them down. And now, if it feels okay in your body, you can bring your right hand to the back of your chair and your left hand to your right thigh, and we'll do a little bit of a twist and gaze back. And release back forward. Just a little bit of a wringing out is really good for the digestive organs. And we'll reverse that. So right hand to left thigh, reach your left hand back and twist. Bring your gaze back forward. And we probably have computers in front of us, but if you can reach your hands toward the ground. And everybody disappeared. And release and come back up. All right. And now we can bring our hands back to where we had them before. And just notice your breathing, and maybe you feel a little different heartbeat. And settle back into your breathing. And maybe you feel a little bit different in your body. All right. And hands back to your legs. And come back to us. But just some simple movements to ground into the body can make all the difference. And I've been trying to do this with the remote teaching, and Get your hands on some chair yoga. It's fabulous. Just real quickly, I will introduce you to EFT tapping. Have any of you heard of EFT tapping?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I came across this when I was working with my brother-in-law who was doing his functional nutrition certification, and he recommended this to me just as a method. It's available. The data is really good on it, and what it is you're using the meridians that are used in acupuncture and have been used for thousands of years on sort of activating and deactivating the nervous system. And so this is, the little quote there is the Ortner family who actually developed the app called the Tapping app, and Nick Ortner and his siblings really wanted to bring this into the public to be used by schools, teachers. It's very effective for veterans, and it seems like, you know, I tried it, and it's an excellent way to sort of hack the nervous system. When you can't always think your way out of problems, you can't think your way out of physical pain and whatnot, but by activating these meridian points, it can really help to hack, you know, whatever kind of issues you're having. PTSD, it's really good for that. And so you can explore that at their link called the Tapping app. But and so it was typically brought into these like trauma areas or natural disasters, you know, to help people, refugees. But then after Sandy Hook, teachers, and it has been very effective. And there's children's books about this. Some schools are adopting this as a method of coping for children too. So I'll just quickly take you through the meridians, but you can see the little chart here. And I think we're not going to go through something together because we might be a little short on time. But the first point is right here, the karate chop point on your hand. So you can, either side of your body is fine, but you can just take your fingers and gently tap on that karate chop point. If any of you have read Gabrielle Bernstein too, she's kind of a energy self-help guru too these days. She also says this point right here is really good on your hand. She calls this the oh shit point. So if you're just like stressing or whatever, you can just be like, I just have to sit and tap, you know, do this under the table at a staff meeting, whatever you have to do. So kind of start here. The second point is the eyebrow point right here, right where your eyebrow starts. And you can do it on both sides or you can do it on one side. And typically when you do this tapping, you're kind of first like addressing the problem. So this is the next point, the side of the eye, right where the little bone is here. So you could say, this anxiety I'm having is really interfering with my work, the anxiety. So you're feeling it, you know, you got to feel it to heal it. So that's kind of the theory, like you're acknowledging it. Then you go to under the eye right here, just lightly. And the next point is under the nose. So you say, my anxiety. And next point is under your chin, sort of where that little indentation is between your lip and your chin. The next point is the collarbone here. And you can do it on both sides if you'd like. And the next point is under the arm. So you kind of go through this script. I mean, the tapping alone is beneficial, but you can think about or verbalize your situation. And then the last point is the top of the head. And you know, if you're in a situation where you can't sit and do this at your staff meeting, I get it, you know, but you could just simplify and do this, you know, more inconspicuously. And then back to the eyebrow again. So you're kind of thinking the stressful thought, and while you're tapping, you're kind of reprogramming your mind not to go into that fight or flight while you're feeling it. And then toward the end, you kind of give yourself some affirmations. And it's interesting, in the scripts, they always say, even though I'm having this anxiety, I deeply love and accept myself. So you're kind of forgiving yourself. You're feeling it, you're forgiving yourself, and then you're releasing it. So, and then when you're done, you can stop, take a cleansing breath in and out. And yeah, something to check out. If before bed, there's scripts in the app that can help you to get into that rest and digest mode for sleeping. So this is the app right here. And if you click on the link in the presentation, it takes you to the website where you can do, there are 2 teacher affirmations or 2 teacher scripts. One is preparing for the day, and the other one is releasing the day. And they're about 9 minutes long. So I would encourage you at some point to check them out. And 2 other apps that I really like, well, let's just say I really like the Calm app, and they did have a thing where it was free for educators. I do believe that's still the situation, but you can do guided meditations, there's music. I like just looking at the breathing aspect of it. It kind of gives you this digital little, breathing thing to watch. But yeah, I find it very useful, and there is stuff in there as well for children. I haven't used it in the class. This app called Jabu Mind, I just learned about this week. I listened to a podcast called Truth for Teachers with Angela Watson, and it was sponsored by this app. And it's specifically for teachers and mindfulness, and it is me. And so again, I'm just starting to explore with this one, but it kind of offers this daily mood check-in to how did you sleep, and it gives you these like 3 little guided meditations and something to check out. I mean, it's becoming, people are aware that we're under a lot of stress right now. So it benefits everyone if we are care of ourselves. Just to kind of end where we began, this is something that a friend shared, and you gotta love the good graphics here. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and 2020 has definitely been wreaking havoc with us in so many ways at these lower levels, right? So just a little reminder, I'll leave you tonight with a reminder, and I'm saying it to myself as well, to show yourself some compassion and grace. Give yourself grace. It will allow those around you to give themselves some grace, and I think it'll just be a better for everyone. So we are trying to build this pyramid on a shaky foundation, and even if you can't quite see it, you are doing beautifully. So keep up the good fight. And I love you all. So it's 8:59. Wow. And
Melissa, you just gave us so many resources. I am so thankful for you and all of your knowledge. And I have receipts and little things everywhere. All the scrap paper have notes here. Of all of this knowledge. I really just am so thankful that you came and shared all of this with us this evening.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. I was a little nervous, but I reframed it to be excited and just overwhelmed with gratitude. So I hope I meet you all in person someday.